Good morning, everybody. This is Bitcoin Mario again, doing another Bitcoin video. As I was explaining my last video in regards to corruption in the Philippines, it seems like it got worse. Well, probably the same because I wasn't around for a long time, but I noticed that the politicians in the Philippines are becoming more rich and richer, and based on their income or their salary, it doesn't jive with their spending, and they're accumulating a lot of wealth. And one of the reasons for this is basically corruption. And what corruption basically does is there's it becomes more money printing, basically, because the more corruption basically comes from projects from different part of the government. So when everybody's setting up their budget, everybody wants their bigger piece of the pie. And when they get the bigger piece of the pie, they're basically the money they're able to steal or grab for individual people in all those projects are bigger. I have no problem with government expenditure, because that's what we get back in terms of taxes that we pay. So if we pay taxes, we make sure that we get something back, because that's the job of the government, is to provide services for the people, especially for the poor people who cannot afford it. So I am for government expenditure, but on a budget based on how much money we make. And the government basically makes money through taxes, and sometimes they charge for some of the services, to cover for those expenses. But the only problem is in the Philippines is corruption. The rich doesn't want to pay anything in taxes, and they want to spend more money so they can make money through it. So they want more projects, basically, which is I have no problem with. I think projects are perfect, but if people are making money off those projects, that's a different story. Instead of the money going to the people, it basically goes to a few, the people who thinks that money is theirs. I can hear congressman basically say, "Oh, that's his money, so he needs to get it back," or governors or mayors, and it just kind of on and on and on and on. And that's the way how politics are played in the Philippines. Sometimes you don't see it, but it's there all the time. So how does one way to fight corruption is basically transparency, and that's the reason why we come back to Bitcoin. I really want Bitcoin to be a medium exchange, which is like money. Use it to barter, basically, and hopefully it'll be a legal tender. That's what I want to happen in the Philippines. Besides the pesos, we can have two legal tenders: the Filipino peso and Bitcoin. I don't know if I'm reaching anybody from this video. It seems like I'm the only one. I try my best to talk about it, but I haven't have anybody to help me out on this yet. So I'm just a lone voice out there in the midst of a big wilderness, and not reaching anybody. But I really think Bitcoin as a legal tender in the Philippines can help fight corruption. How do you say that? Because Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency. It operates on a public ledger known as a blockchain. As I explained to you, a blockchain in my previous lesson is basically a digital ledger that shows, all basically any transaction is basically visible. So number one, it's a public ledger visibility that helps. the records that the transaction recorded in the blockchain, it's permanent and you cannot alter it. Can you imagine that? So every time they spend Bitcoin, it's gonna record a transaction in the blockchain, which is permanent and it cannot be changed. Remember, corruption. They can always, a lot of them do double bookkeeping, one for the public and one for their own self. And you can't do that in blockchain. You know, whatever you spend, it's going to show in the public ledger. And it's permanent and you cannot change it. Once it's recorded, that's it. It cannot be deleted. It cannot be, it's easier to track and it's easy to verify financial activities. So can you imagine? If you have, if everything was recorded in a public ledger that's visible to everybody, every time you spend some money, it's gonna show there. Of course, we cannot beat corruption 100%, because they'll figure out how to, go around it, but it'll make your job harder because all the expenses gonna show there. So when you do a transaction, when you through Bitcoin, if you're gonna send money to this corporation or something, like some people who does construction, it's gonna show there how much money that they send, and so, and that cannot be changed. So if everything is done through Bitcoin, every transaction is gonna be recorded, and it's a public ledger. It's visible to everybody. Everybody can. It's very transparent. They'll probably figure out a way to go around it, but it's gonna make their jobs a little bit harder. It won't be a simple way of getting. So Bitcoin can really help. They can track, the activities, they can verify financial activities, they can figure out where this money came from, and the contractor who receives the money, if they receive Bitcoin, all the transactions are gonna show too. If they spend Bitcoin, and they can tell where all the money is going. So if some of the money goes back as a kickback to the public official, it's gonna show. So it's gonna make it harder for them to figure out. They'll have to figure out something else. But so far in Bitcoin, it will make their job a little bit harder. And another thing is the blockchain is accessible to anyone with an internet connection. So there's an openness. So the openness means that any individual, journalist, or watchdog organizations can examine transactions, promoting accountability and reducing opportunities for corrupt activities. Can you imagine that? It's not like you give the money. What did they do with the money? You don't know. Nobody knows what they do with the money. And then they have double bookkeeping. Most of them have double bookkeeping. One for the public that they can show, and one internal bookkeeping. On a blockchain, everything is transparent. Everything is a public record. So we don't have to ask them for a copy of, where the money, spent. All of us has access to it. Any individual, if you just want to know where the money went, or any journalist or any watchdog organization, they can examine transactions, they can promote accountability, and they can reduce opportunities for corrupt activities. Isn't that great? And there's more. I'm gonna do more on this corruption, and hopefully people will follow and realize that Bitcoin is more than just meets the eye. It's not just digital money. It's a way to fight corruption. And in the Philippines, that's our number one set, is to fight corruption. So what I'm saying is we have public ledger visibility. There's immutable records that cannot be changed, cannot be altered, and there's an open access. Thank you, everyone, and I'm going to be doing more on corruption. Thank you. I'll see you guys the next time.